Along with the global launch of the Honor Magic V3, we have this, which is a new Android tablet from them, which is called the MagicPad 2. Now, this has a 12.3-inch screen that is 144 Hertz. It's OLED, and it's very bright, up to 1600 nits. And I'll be covering it in detail in this review. Now, what is powering it is the Snapdragon 8S Gen 3. It's got 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. My model here running MagicOS, which is based off Android 14. It does have 8 speakers on board. I'll give you a sample of those. I'll let you know what kind of battery life I can get out of it. The charging rate is 66 watts. And all up, for a mid-range tablet, I think this one is definitely worth a look. The Honor MagicPad 2. And what do we get included with our MagicPad 2? Well, we do get these two items inside the box. So we have our 66 Honor supercharged charger. I'll give you the exact charge time later in the video, and a Type-C to Type-A cable. And our optional accessories. So we have the Magic Pencil 3 here. And this attaches on the top, and there's a magnet that holds it into place. Now, the magnet's going to hold it there quite firmly. You can't easily just knock it off. However, if I was going to place this in my backpack, I would certainly take it off just in case. So the pencil, I'll go over it later in the review a little bit more. This has 4096 pressure sensitive levels. You get a spare tip with it. And as mentioned, it sits on there quite nicely. Although, if you don't put it on properly, like I just did, then you can drop it. But it will show you its battery life, which is great. And then our keyboard. So this keyboard is, well, a little bit of a compromise. Of course, with the space we do have available, it makes sense. So half-sized arrow keys here. But typing on it is very nice. I have used it for a little bit now. I've had the tablet for a while, and I think if you're going to be typing a lot, it's certainly so much better than just using a touch screen and having an on-screen keyboard, which I just really am not a huge fan of. Okay, you got your on-screen keyboard there, but it's just so much better to be able to type and do everything. Now, it's connected up with Bluetooth, but the latency has been very good, no problems. It's not backlit, unfortunately. Key travel is 1.5 millimeters, and I do like it, but this is one fixed angle. So it is simply just this level right here. It's optimized, I think, perfectly the angle for use when sitting at a desk. It's probably the place that most people would be using it, right? So it makes sense they've optimized that angle for that. I would like to see another level about here, but we don't have the space, okay? Even being a 12.3-inch tablet, that's just how it is. And once you're done, of course, you fold that all up into this very neat little package that does protect the camera module here, the whole back, and even the corners, the sides, the edges, all protected, and then the screen is protected. Now, the material, this has a good feel to it. It is a synthetic fake leather style, and all up, I think both of them are great accessories that really do complement the MagicPad 2. Checking out the build quality, it is very good, typical Honor. Now, this material on the back here, it is a plastic, so this is not metal. It keeps the weight down, improves the antenna reception. I do see why they do this. The frame around the outside also is plastic, not metal. So with the camera here, we have our dual-tone LED flash, 13 megapixel camera on a branding, IMAX enhanced right here. And you can see that there is this slight different color to it. It's almost like a marble effect on the back of it here with this white version. I do like it. And it does resist fingerprints really well. Now, there is a 10,050 milliamp hour battery within this, and we've got that 66 watt charging, which is excellent. So you can see it's nice and thin. It's just 5.8 millimeters the thickness. That's just measuring here, not including the camera module. Now the Type-C port here, a little disappointing for me at least. I'm plugging in all of my adapters Type-C to video out, and I'm not getting video out at all. So it seems it doesn't support it, which is a shame. It would have been perfect with this tablet. We've got our speaker grills here. So there are 4 speaker grills in total. However, there are 8 speakers within this tablet. That is our power button here. Now note that there is no 3.5 millimeter headphone jack on this. Where is our slot that will take a SIM card? or a micro SD card. None of that. So there's no 4G or 5G modem. No micro SD card support, no 3.5 millimeter. Along the top here, you can see some microphones, and we have a volume up and down button. Down the bottom, absolutely nothing there. Now we've got a display here that I think is the best you can get at this price point in any tablet. OLED, fully laminated, 144 Hertz. So everything is very fast and fluid. I've forced it to that 144 Hertz. It's HDR10 and 1600 nits is the peak brightness. Now it's 12.3 inches. So it's a nice, decent, large size. Great for just using and looking and consuming media, Netflix, stuff like that is going to be brilliant with this screen. The resolution, so you're looking at 1920 by 3000 pixels. 290 ppi. So it's sharp, looks great, and there are plenty of eye protection features too that you get. The eye comfort display, what Honor calls it here. So you got your circadian night display option. So that will slowly start to make the screen a little bit more yellow, get rid of the blue light, just make it a lot easier for us to get to sleep. Defocus, eye care, eye comfort, and this one, which is the 4320 Hertz pulse width modulation dimming. And that is absolutely amazing because the competitors out there, well, for example, the Samsung, the Galaxy Tab S9 Plus, that's only 480. An iPad Pro 10 inch is only 480. This isn't. This is so much better that you are not going to see any banding flicker on this screen whatsoever. And that brightness is very, very good. It goes extremely bright. So I'm really pleased with this screen. I'm super fussy about displays, and I think it is one of the best for the price point that I have seen in a tablet. And of course, you do have that stylus support. It's a brilliant screen that Honor has selected, and you get a lot more options in the display too. Okay, I'll go on here. You can set this, which is the screen refresh rate. I'll force it onto 144 Hertz, but you can set that perfect sweet spot of 90. Really good to see that option. A lot of brands don't do that. Smart resolution, I have that disabled, so I'm running the highest resolution all the time, and that's what I've done all of my testing on. You can scale the screen. You've got your color temperature mode. That can always be adjusted, and then your light and dark themes too as well. So a very good screen. Touch response has been excellent. Uniformed colors too as well. The edges, not a problem. I've seen no funny light leakage or anything like that. Not with an OLED screen. The MagicPad 2 is running Android 14. Now, I do find MagicOS here is working fine. Now, you can run the apps drawer, which I do like, or just have everything as widgets. The only minor complaint that I've discovered is sometimes the swipe gesture to go up or down is a little bit more difficult to trigger than I would like. Now, I don't know whether it's me. Am I the problem? But normally I just swipe up and it will work, but sometimes, okay, maybe I'm not pressing hard enough. I don't know, but sometimes I do have a little bit of trouble with this. It's something very rare for me to mention, but I wanted to say it because it is there, it's present, and it's something I've just detected. Otherwise, the other gestures all seem to be working well. I didn't notice this before I turned on the apps drawer and disabled, of course, the search feature, which would be by default to swipe up. You'd have then the search. Now, the UI's got a lot of features in here. I won't go through all of those because most of us are very familiar with Android and even probably MagicOS. There's a lot of little tweaks and bits and pieces in here, some extras, but I won't be covering all of that. Now, I am on the latest firmware. There are, of course, firmware updates coming through, and it's MagicOS 8.0.1. There was a small little update for this just before I started to record this review. There also are firmware updates for even the Magic Pencil 3. Now the M Pencil, it's been there floating on the screen and you probably want to see it in action now, so I'll show you a little bit of that. As soon as you take it off the tablet, of course it does detect that, and we've got this option right here with a little pop-up. Now you can write anywhere on the screen, the whole screen. You can also, in text fields, write to as well, and you can convert handwriting into text. And let's just take a look. I'll just open up the notes application right here and show you. We'll just start a new one, what the stylus is like. So handwritten note is what I want. Okay, we've got different stylus for the cover, the paper style, whatnot. I'll just go with the default here. So palm rejection, how does it work? Now, the stylus is detected as soon as it touches. I don't see a little hover icon, okay? So some of them, there would be about a few millimeters away from the screen. You see that little hover to show you where the nib, the tip of the stylus is. You don't get that here. So the palm rejection is going to work just fine because it's detecting it, but it's just that little icon thing it doesn't seem to show me. So I'll just go with there we go, just a pencil to see what that is like. You'll have to excuse my messy writing. Very good. It's very fast, as you can see, really responsive with something like this, which is really simple that you would expect. Now, pressure sensitive levels up to 4096 levels there, so that's a lot. I'll press really light to start with and slowly heavier. And are we seeing a difference there? I don't think we are, and I believe it's probably because what I'm using is not going to pick up on that. Okay, there we go. All right, now I pressed a little too hard. That is looking a lot better. And what does it feel like? Well, it has a rubber tip, so there's a little bit of resistance, but it's not like a pencil on paper or pen on paper feel because it's still smooth glass here. And I think if it had a matte coating on the screen, or you put a matte screen protector on it, it would maybe improve that feel to make it feel a little bit more resistant there. Now, does it work right up to the very edges? Let me just pinch and zoom here. It does, okay, right up to the edges, and I've noticed that it doesn't jump around. It's a very good stylus. I'm really happy with its performance. The other thing to point out too with it is the palm rejection again, that if I try to get my palm, even from here to do something, like, okay, there it is, but I get a little bit closer, it's detecting it. I just wish it had that little hover icon, that it would just show you where it is, the exact location. Other than that, I mean, it is a very good stylus, works really well, and I'm just scraping the surface here. But if you're after a good stylus experience, I think this one has you covered with the Honor Pencil 3. How about bloatware? Well, a lot of these tablets will come crammed packed full of a lot of apps that you want to go and delete later on. And this is still the case here with Honor, Facebook, TikTok. There's a few others that I would consider as bloat. However, it gets a thumbs up from me because this is quite lenient. We see brands that put on up to 20 plus applications. It's getting a little bit bloaty, and you see Booking.com's there as well. So there's about 5 or so bloatware applications in there, but very lenient. Now, battery life, 10,050 milliamp hour battery. With this fixed battery life test here, 6 hours and 34 minutes is looking low, but I will tell you that I ran it at 144 Hertz for the refresh rate with smart resolution off. So no energy saving sort of features. And this is why the result is 6.5 hours here. Now, if I was to run 90 Hertz, the refresh rate, or 60, you'd be looking, especially at 60, at about 10 hours with this tablet. So the battery life is good despite the score here, which is the worst case scenario, because 144 Hertz, that's over double a standard refresh rate, well, what used to be considered as standard 60 Hertz. It's now really, of course, 120, so it's still a very high refresh rate, and I just love how smooth everything is. So battery charge time at 66 watts to go from 11% here to 100 took 89 minutes exactly. And just ignore this here because it hasn't obviously calculated that correctly, which can sometimes happen with Antutu with its battery meter there. The performance, so not bad considering, right, it's not a Snapdragon 8 Gen 3. No, it's the 8S, which can kind of confuse people. The S version is a much lower performing version, as you can see. GPU performance still very good, CPU is good, and in general, we're looking at a score at 1.2 million points with Antutu, so it's very good, but this is classed now as a mid-range tablet, so it's not top-end flagship. But as you see later on, performance for everything like gaming and everything I'll be doing on it has been very good, smooth, great. It just won't be the absolute best when it comes to gaming performance, although these scores are not bad. So throttling, the tablet, yes, has a bit of throttling. You can see it goes down to just over 30%. So you do see that drop in performance, and you can see the two scores there. This is after 20 minutes, a very demanding 3D test, and that is normal for it to drop down a little bit. And I'd say that this result isn't bad. And does the tablet get warm? Well, I noticed when gaming too, I've been gaming, not just doing these benchmarks, that it will, around where the camera module is, get a little warm, but these temperatures here reflect what I'm seeing externally too as well. So it's only getting up to about 39 degrees that I've measured, and internally here, I believe the battery sensor is where that temperature is coming from, so 37 degrees. All fine, all checks out, so it doesn't overheat. There's a little bit of throttling, but it's not as bad as some foldable phones, which will drop down to half the performance with the same exact test. And finally here, we do have full HD support. This is from within Netflix, Widevine Level 1 cert, and we get HDR10 support with Netflix too, which is very good. So it all checks out. That works with Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, all of them running in full HD. What about ebooks and PDF files? Well, they look very good on this screen. I am really happy using them, especially PDFs. Now, this is quite a heavy PDF file. It's a large one, and it's not exhibiting any annoying slowdown or lag. I mean, you can see that sometimes a page there did a little spinning bit, okay? But it's in general for Android, good performance here. It won't match an iPad, but it's fine. Now, the text with the 290 ppi we get with the screen, 3K screen, everything looks really sharp. And if you're worried about, well, you're going to damage your eyes, then of course just swipe down here. Turn on from the toggles. Very easy to do. You don't need to go into the settings. I can then go to eye comfort mode. I can also turn on the ebook mode, which is going to turn everything into black and white. So no color whatsoever. So that's a little bit better. And I could even tweak this with the circadian modes, whatnot, to remove the blue light, make this look quite orange, so you're not going to keep yourself awake at all with that. So it's good. Ebooks, exactly the same. And yes, the accelerometer doesn't take long at all. So you can use this in landscape or portrait now like a book. Just over 550 grams to the weight of it. I don't find it to be too bad when using it as a very large ebook or PDF file reader. General app performance, like YouTube, very good, very smooth when scrolling, especially if you do force it to 144. And on the dynamic refresh rate, it's going to be scaling up and down as it sees fit. So when you go into YouTube, sometimes it would be at 60, but here, that is definitely not 60 Hertz, although I'm only filming at 30 frames per second, so it's a little difficult to see. So I'm going to go into a track here now, and I know I play it a lot, but I just want to test out what do the speakers sound, and I can tell you now, really good for a tablet like this. They are impressive with plenty of bass to them, good volume, just very rich sounding. They are not disappointing at all. As for gaming performance, with Genshin Impact set to the highest possible settings at 60 frames per second, I've been monitoring the frame rate from our game manager here in the game mode, and most of the time it has been 60 frames per second. Now, with some of the boss fights, when there's a lot going on screen, I have noticed that, yes, things have dropped down a little bit. I've seen some frame dips. I've seen it drop down to about 45 frames per second. But most of the time, like now, it is very good. It's really smooth. It has impressed me. The performance is better than what I was expecting. That's some poor gameplay from me. I should have dodged that. But it is really good. Smooth. So all the games out there you can find in the Play Store, all of the top demanding ones are going to be very playable. And I'm really surprised at just how well this is running. Let's take a look at that frame rate again. Still 58 there. Okay. But yeah, I have seen it drop down to 47, 48. Which occasionally happens. So if you like your games, go for the 12GB of RAM version, I think, if you do intend to game a lot. It will help with the performance. Looking at what the cameras can do now with our MagicPad 2. This is the front-facing camera. It can shoot 4K 30 frames per second. It cannot shoot 60 frames per second. The rear camera is the same, which I will swap over to now. For a tablet, I think this video quality is okay. It doesn't look to have any, well, there's no optical image stabilization, but electronic doesn't seem to be working or working that well, and of course there's no ultra wide, but the overall quality I think is acceptable. A lot of people would use their mobile phone, which of course will have much better quality than this, but as a tablet I think the quality is acceptable. So all up, what are my thoughts on the tablet now after using it for a while? Well, I love the screen. It is bright, it's clear, it's responsive to touch, although as I showed you I sometimes have a problem. There we go, it did actually work with the swipe up gesture, but it could be me, or maybe it just needs a little bit of optimization there. The blacks look very deep, and you got all of those eye comfort modes from Honor, which are fantastic. So the defocusing mode that it has, the circadian night mode, the blue light filter, and even an ebook mode that you can put the whole screen into black and white as I showed you. PDF files, ebooks look really good on it. The keyboard is very nice to type on, but it only has that one fixed angle, that's it, which is perfectly optimized for sitting at a desk on a table, and you're going to type away and see it really good. But it would be nice if I could lower it back a little bit more, but it's just simply not possible with the space they have with this tablet. Build quality is very good. The weight is great at the 555 grams. It's nice and thin as well, 5.8 millimeters. And the camera quality is fine, I think, for a tablet. But it is missing a few things that I think are essential for a tablet. Video out of Type-C, 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. That one, okay, some people can live without. But micro SD card support would have been fantastic with this. So even if you got the 256 gigabyte model, you could go and just slot in another terabyte of storage. Would have been great to store your video files, MP3s, whatnot, anything on there. So that's the only thing that's really holding it back. But otherwise, stylus included, very good. Not included, sorry, in the package, but what I mean is it is also very good, matches the rest of the package here. Good latency, palm rejection, and you've got the 4096 pressure sensitive levels. The checks out all as a package. It's just those things that it doesn't have, sadly. Otherwise, it could have been an almost perfect mid-range tablet from Honor, the MagicBook 2. Thanks a lot for watching this review.